Buddy. Yeah, guys, it's good to be back. Another week accomplished, thank God. We never finish. We always accomplish. So by the end of the year, I'm not going to say the year is finished. We're going to say the year is accomplished. Thank God for that. We start doing new parts in our life. I just want to share a very small story with you. I hope I have enough pizza this week. Getting more crowded. Wow. But if anytime you get tired of the pizza, let me know. We get you some other type of food. Thank God there's plenty of food in America. And I just wanted to share some story with you. As you guys know, one of the commandments in the Bible is actually hospitality, inviting people to your houses. I know sometimes it gets dangerous nowadays. Don't know who's in the street, who can you invite. But honestly, that thing is a very, very big commandment, one of the 613 commandments, which says you have to love your fellow just like yourself. And one of the things is everybody loves to be invited somewhere once in a while at least. So I'm going to share one story with you. This is one of those strange stories, a very weird one. Actually, in this week's portion, we learn about Abraham and Sarah becoming a parents, right? How old was Abraham when he had a child? Next week's portion. 100, right? And Sarah's how old? Not 99. No. The gap was a lot more those days, not 2, 3 years. My dad was older than my mother by 8 years, but that was even bigger. I'm 6 years older than my husband, 5.5 more than my wife. Not bad. I was lucky. That's why I always have a young wife. She's always 5 years younger than me. No matter what, she's a young lady. But anyways, she was actually 90 years old. Right? It's weird to have a child at 190. But actually, such similar thing happened 330 years ago. There was a man, his name was Rabbi Israel, or you know him as the Baal Shem Tov. So his father, his name was Eliezer. And they saved up some money. And then him and I think his wife's name was Sarah also, but the father's name was Eliezer. They saved up some money, but they had no children. So at the end of their life, he was already 99 and his wife was also 89, just like Sarah. So they decided, what? Before they got to that age, we're not going to have kids anyways. So let's make a hachnasat orchi, meaning like a little inn that we invite people when they come for the weekend. Jews used to travel a lot in those days, and they had no place really to go. There were no hotels that they could get kosher food like these days. So they decided to make a house for hospitality. When people came there, they actually kept them from Friday night all the way to Sunday morning. So that all the meals of Shabbat plus Sunday breakfast. So what happens is that one time, a lot of people came to the houses, and in the middle of Shabbat, Sabbath, a guy walks in. Is anybody familiar with the laws of Shabbat here for the Orthodox, people, for the crazy guys? Yeah, I look crazy, I'm not dangerous. I just look crazy. Yes, go ahead. Are you allowed to travel in the middle of Shabbat? Travel. No, actually, you can't even go out of the city more than 3,000 feet. As long as you're in the city, you're allowed to walk. But to go out of the city, you can't go more than 3,000 feet. That's one of the laws of Shabbat. It doesn't apply here. Because even if you walk to LA, you have just houses one after the other. But imagine on the way to Palm Springs, if you get to a place that there's no more houses, you can't go more than 3,000 feet. You're not allowed to do that. So this guy comes in the middle of Sabbath, and they lived in little, villages. Definitely came in the middle of Shabbat. Now those guys being religious, being so zealous, whatever you want to call those names, they see these guys coming in, they get angry at him. What's wrong with this guy? He travels on Shabbat, but Baal Shem Tov's father, he says, did you make Kiddush yet? You know what Kiddush is, guys, right? The blessing on wine before you eat. They say a joke, Jews don't become alcoholics. It's not true. You know why? Because when the kid is 8 days old and they circumcise him, they put wine in his mouth. A kid hates wine. So from that time, in his subconscious, he hates wine. I'm just kidding. It's not true at all. But at least we say that to ourselves to make ourselves feel good, that we don't become alcoholics. I grew up in high school, 2 things I never liked. No drugs and no alcohol. Thank God. Those 2 things I never had desire for. I really thank God for it. But anyways, he gives him some wine to make Kiddush, to make, the blessing, and everybody else is like poking this guy. This guy comes in the middle of Shabbat, kick him out. The Baal Shem Tov's father doesn't do it. He actually keeps him until Sunday morning when all the guests go. So this is the weird part. This guy tells Baal Shem Tov's father that, you know what, I was actually sent by God to test you. He was Elijah the prophet. We all know that Elijah the prophet went alive in heaven. If you study the prophets, he never died. He went with his body into heaven. Since a chariot came and he went up to heaven, if you look at it in the book of Samuel, or actually Book of Kings, I'm sorry. So it says, I came to test you. And I purposely came on Sabbath to see if you're going to judge me or not. And because you didn't, you're going to be blessed with a kid that actually will illuminate the eyes of the Jewish people with his teachings. So if you actually go and Google Baal Shem Tov, was actually a man that started, teaching Kabbalistic stuff, secrets of Torah to simple people. He was this man's child, Eliezer, and Sarah. But one of the things that we learn, always they say, if somebody, many times we want to have kids, we get married, medically there is nothing wrong, but no children are born. Obviously, it's in God's hands and not just by biological. One of the things that actually makes us worthy to have children is if we invite guests to our houses. It's an act of hospitality, a nice thing. Thank you